It was the middle of the night. No jets, no helicopters, not even birds. The sky above Engels Air Base in Russia was dead quiet. But far away over the dark fields, 17 small shapes were moving fast. They were Ukrainian OSA drones, cheap plastic and loaded with explosives. They weren't guided by GPS, they weren't talking to each other. For the last half hour, no human had been flying them, and yet, these little machines were about to outsmart one of the most expensive air defense systems in the world, a $500 million shield that was supposed to protect a fleet of nuclear bombers. When the attack began, it didn't just hit the base, it sent a message. Even the strongest defenses can fall when your enemy uses brains instead of just big weapons. The journey, 750 kilometers of danger. The mission started at 3 a.m. on June 6, 2025. The 17 drones had already been in the air for 6 hours, flying 750 kilometers over hostile territory. They didn't have GPS, which meant they couldn't be jammed by Russian systems. Instead, they navigated the old-fashioned way using a magnetic compass, accelerometers, and dead reckoning, just like pilots in the 1940s. They flew low, about 50 meters above the ground, which kept them hidden from most radar systems. And as they neared the target, they became fully autonomous. There was no turning back. The target, tank number 4. The goal wasn't just to cause random damage. The drones were after the base's fuel depot, a cluster of massive steel tanks, each holding 2,000 tons of aviation fuel for Russia's Tu-160 and Tu-95MS nuclear bombers. One drone led the way with a thermal camera, scanning the tanks for heat differences. This wasn't a simple camera feed. The image went into an AI system trained on over 10,000 satellite images of that exact depot. The AI knew the layout, the pipelines, and the tank designs. Through the grainy 640 by 480 picture, it spotted 4 glowing white circles, the tops of fuel tanks. But one stood out, tank number 4. It was slightly hotter than the others, which meant it had been filled recently and had maximum vapor pressure. That made it the most dangerous and most explosive. Smart swarm? No leader needed. The most shocking part, all 17 drones ran the same analysis separately, and all chose tank number 4 as the first target. There was no central control, no commander telling them what to do. Each brain reached the same decision. Then they coordinated without speaking. Each drone picked a slightly different angle of attack so they wouldn't collide. Some would come from the west, others from the east, all with overlapping blast zones to cause maximum chaos. The defenses were too slow to see the threat. Engels Air Base wasn't undefended. Around the fuel depot were layers of Russian air defense. The S-400 missile battery was capable of shooting down jets, missiles, and even stealth aircraft from 400 kilometers away. Pantsir S-1 units, short-range missile and gun systems, each costing $15 million, were designed to shoot down incoming threats. GPS jammers and electromagnetic bubbles were meant to confuse navigation systems. The problem was that none of them were ready for what was coming. The S-400 radar struggled to detect anything at the drone's low altitude until they were less than 20 kilometers away. By then, there would only be about 5 minutes left before impact. The Pantsir S-1 systems had another issue. The drone's radar cross-section was about the size of a bird, far too small for reliable tracking. Even when they used thermal cameras, the drones were hard to lock onto, and the GPS jammers were useless. These drones didn't use GPS at all. First contact was a missed shot. At 8 kilometers out, one radar operator finally saw something strange. 17 contacts moving too slow for missiles, but too fast for birds. He locked onto the lead drone and fired a missile. It missed. The missile's proximity fuse didn't even trigger because the target was so small. A second shot failed too when the drone made a sudden pop-up maneuver, climbing and then diving back down. Across the base, other Pantsir units opened fire, filling the sky with tracers and explosions. But hitting a plastic drone with a cannon at 3 kilometers was almost impossible. One drone was destroyed by sheer luck. A missile caught it at the perfect angle, but 16 kept going. The final approach involved precision strikes. At just a few kilometers from the target, the drones spread into a deadly formation. 7 drones climbed to hit the thin steel roofs of tanks. 5 drones stayed mid-level to strike the upper walls where vapor collected. 5 drones dropped lower to hit structural weak points at the base. Each had its own assigned section of the depot. At exactly 3:08 a.m., the lead drone slammed into tank number 4. Its shaped charge warhead, just 3.2 kilograms, punched through 8 millimeters of steel and exploded inside. The pressure wave ripped the tank apart, sending its roof spinning 200 meters through the air. The chain reaction turned fire into a monster. Burning fuel poured out, reaching pipes connected to other tanks. The second drone hit tank number 1, then tank number 7, then tank number 12. The base's foam-based fire suppression system tried to respond, spraying 10,000 liters per minute. But the system was outdated, clogged, and only designed for one fire at a time, not 4 massive explosions. The foam ran out in 90 seconds. Temperatures reached over 1,800 degrees Celsius, 3,272 degrees Fahrenheit. Fire trucks couldn't get within 500 meters without their paint blistering. Inside the underground pipelines, fuel from undamaged tanks kept flowing into the fire. Emergency valves melted and failed. The blaze only grew hotter. 10 minutes later, tank number 6 exploded in what's called a bleave, a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. It didn't just burn, it detonated, sending shock waves through the base. Each explosion spread burning fuel to more tanks, creating a chain reaction. The entire depot became a single roaring firestorm. By the end, thousands of tons of special bomber fuel were destroyed. This wasn't regular jet fuel. It was a cold-resistant blend made for high-altitude, long-range nuclear bomber missions. Without it, Russia's Tu-160 and Tu-95 MS bombers couldn't fly. For the cost of a small apartment in Moscow, Ukraine had struck 750 kilometers inside Russian territory and grounded part of Russia's nuclear fleet. The attack also planted fear. Engels is far from the Ukrainian border, but Moscow is only about 700 kilometers away. If these drones could reach one, could they reach the other? This wasn't just about one oil depot. It showed that cheap can beat expensive. The drones were made from parts you can buy online for under $100 each, yet they beat systems worth hundreds of millions. Brains beat brawn. AI targeting and swarm tactics outperform traditional command and control systems. Low-tech can beat high-tech. By avoiding GPS, the drones were immune to jamming. It's a warning to militaries everywhere. The future of war might be small, smart, and hard to see. The night the Ukrainian drones hit Engels wasn't just a military strike, it was a turning point. It proved that even the most powerful defenses have weak spots. It showed that a handful of small, smart machines could slip through the cracks and cause massive damage. And it left a question hanging over the Kremlin. If these little drones can reach this far, what happens next?